I was gonna do this video in Swedish first, but I thought it's more of an international matter and it's about what's happening in Canada. So I decided to do it in English, so you'll have to bear with me with my accent here. But I was following the events of the Freedom Convoy in Canada with great excitement, because it is quite exciting what they're doing over there. And obviously, I'm seeing I was seeing Trudeau speak the other day, and I'm sure many of you have seen it as well. And if you remember this clip, I will put it up here.
Our grocery store shelves. Canadians have stepped up to do the right thing to protect the freedoms and the rights of Canadians to get back to the things we love to do. We know the way through this pandemic is by getting everyone vaccinated. And
that's the first thing he says. That's, I mean, it's not the main point there, but it's so weird how he can say something like that, because how is the way, what does he mean with the way through the pandemic? You know, when they say stuff like this and they never have a definition or they never refer to anything, they don't have a defined goal. It's just how to get through the pandemic, and that gives them, I feel it gives them license to pretty much change that goalpost whenever they want to and do pretty much whatever they want to, because it's such an undefined goal to say just to get through this, right? It could be anything. I mean, it's, you can never judge when you're at the finish line with that kind of language, right? And when they never go deeper into it. And him saying that the only way to get through the pandemic is to get everyone vaccinated, right after he said, I think, that about 90% of Canadians are. So really, what does this 10% matter? We know everyone is spreading the virus right now. So like Jimmy Dore says, you know, if you're going to get it, then, you know, what does it matter who you get it from? Really. And I mean, everyone that really needs it should have gotten it by now, right? Because they've had every opportunity to get it. And I feel like anyone that's not gotten it, they don't want it. And, you know, you should not force them. It's pretty much as simple as that, right? They don't want it. Or, I mean, everyone has gotten the chance, and especially those at risk have gotten, you know, many chances, and probably there's no problem getting it. So what does it mean by through the pandemic? It's not really, that's not a defined goal, and it doesn't really say anything. It just gives him license to implement whatever he wants to. But it's the main part is the next thing he's going to say here, so I want to keep playing it.
The overwhelming majority, close to 90% of Canadians, have done exactly that. The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing.
Now this is infuriating, right? Firstly, he's describing them as the small fringe minority. And he says, and I'm sure you have all seen this by now, I'm pretty late on the ball here with recording this video, but that's what I have some other clips in a little while I'm going to show you. But it is not a small fringe minority. It's tens of thousands of people, and it's also people supporting them from all over the world. I'm seeing in Sweden, in Finland, in Austria, in Australia. There's groups all over planning their own truck convoys by now. And it's not a small fringe minority when, you know, and another point is that if they represent a small fringe minority, all these thousands and thousands of people driving to Ottawa to demonstrate, right? Where are all there's no counter demonstrators. There's maybe a few. There's no tens of thousands of people trying to go against these people, to counter protest against these people. They don't exist. So you can't really be a small fringe minority then. You know, you can't be the outsiders that's not part of everything else and everyone disagrees with you. And him saying that they have unacceptable views is one of the most disgusting things I've heard a leader say in these 2 years, I think. Their views are not unacceptable. Their views are their own. They're individuals, right? They have the right to have those views. They, with everything that's happened to them and how this guy is trying to force them into different things, I mean, to call their views on it's on the one hand, it's like a joke, right? Because you can see through this guy and how, he looks scared, you know. It feels like he's upset and scared, like a child. But he is the leader of a nation like Canada, right? So this is just disgusting. I think the only people that's rivaling him in what they've said that's disgusting is this well, I guess Biden, when he wished, you know, a winter of destruction and death on the people that are not complying in America, and also Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand that is just gleefully happy about creating second-class citizens in her own country. By the way, I should make a video one of these days about Trudeau and Jacinda together. I saw an old video of them talking through in, I think, London together, and it's just oh boy, that's quite the pair. But anyways, this guy, man, I mean, anyways, this is what's unacceptable is him, is his total disregard for individual rights, and this is not a fringe minority. This is a huge part of his own population are unhappy with him and with all the policies that him and people like him are enacting, and that's why they're protesting. They're no extremist, they're not fringe. I see this language all over the world. Whenever anyone protests against these measures, it's always like they try to portray them as extremist and sometimes racist, Nazis, whatever, right? And you go to one of these places. I was watching this guy Viva Frey the other day, and he was walking around in Ottawa because I think he lives pretty close to there, so he just drove over there and talked to people, walked around on the street, and it's just like, it's thousands of normal people that are fed up with not being able to live their lives. It's not some kind of weird extremist fringe whatever, right? So I'm going to show you another clip here, and let's see if I can switch to it. This was him a few days later. Let's play it.
We are not intimidated by those who hurl insults and abuse at small business workers and steal food from the homeless.
I mean, this is insane, right? What kind of accusations are this? I saw what he's referring to is some kind of post on Twitter that accused some protesters of going into like a soup kitchen and demanding food, but there were no videos, no photos, no nothing. It was just some posts on Twitter claiming that happened. And I don't know. I mean, there can always be some bad people in any group, but I feel like these days everyone has a camera, right? Everyone has a camera. Everyone has a phone with a camera. And honestly, if you're in a soup kitchen in Ottawa right now, and a bunch of these truckers walk in and try to steal your food in the soup kitchen, I mean, you would tape them, you would film them, right? I haven't seen any evidence like that. So, but of course Trudeau is just acting like, of course that's true. It's just he can use whatever kind of reason he wants to, right? But that's not trustworthy in my mind, unless I see a video of it.
We won't give in to those who fly racist flags. We won't.
You know what he's referring to there? He's saying give in to those who fly racist flags. If you go and look at all the live streams from the protests in Ottawa, right? It's Canadian flags everywhere, and some flags that say like F Trudeau and stuff like that. But I mean, to say like, to characterize these people as people flying racist flags is just, it's just so not connected to reality. And there was like some clip of one masked guy in the audience walking around with what do you call it? Oh fuck, what's it called? The American South flag. It's the only thing that pops into my head right now is the rebel flag. But you know, the freaking Leonard Skinner flag, whatever. You know which one I mean. And
Cave
oh,
to those who engage in vandalism or
but it was just such clearly either some weird crazy guy, or I mean, we've been seeing plants, these kind of people that just walk into protests and try to, in one way or another, you know, cause disruption, cause problems for them. And it's just so odd, right, that this huge Canadian protest full of Canadian normal people, Canadian flags, that who have like one what fuck, what's it called, this well, basically the American Southern States flag. For some reason, I cannot remember it right now. It's insane that I can't remember it. But, you know, whatever. I'm calling it the Leonard Skinner flag right now. But anyways, and I saw one photo, I think, with like 5 people up on a balcony, one of them flying a swastika flag, which is like, it just seems so clearly fake to me. Either that, or this is like some insane guy, because there's no one walking around in these protests with like, oh, here's my swastika. I mean, these people are sometimes likening Trudeau's measures and these kind of oppressive mandates to Nazi Germany sometimes, right? They're not Nazis that would be like, I mean, a Nazi would think that Nazi Germany was good, right? It's so weird that they somehow put in one person there with such a flag, and then, you know, Trudeau can try to portray this whole thing as some kind of racist Nazi, whatever, right? I'm gonna play this clip through because I have an interesting clip to show after this. So
dishonor the memory of our veterans. There is no place.
Sorry, I just gotta address that. Dishonor the memory of our veterans, right? So he's referring to, there was this one woman, she was yelling and screaming and yelling freedom and kind of full, you know, with energy and up in her own head, so to speak. And she was, I think, walked up kind of, sort of, on a monument. I don't know this one too well, but it's monument that's basically of a soldier's grave. I think not the unknown soldier. I'm not sure, but basically, anyways, a monument honoring veterans, right? So even if I don't know exact the details about that monument, that's what it is, right? And it's just like, does he think that all these Canadian kind of they are, I would say, leaning towards being, you know, patriots, basically, is what they would, a lot of them, I think, would describe themselves as. Does he think that it's a good description of them to portray them as, you know, people that hate veterans? I mean, it's just such a given that this group is probably like 99% people that are all in on, you know, supporting veterans and honoring veterans. So it's just a critique that doesn't hit any, it doesn't stick, right? No one believes this. So I'm gonna play this through.
In our country for threats, violence, or hatred. So to those responsible for this behavior, it needs to stop. To the politicians exploiting people's fears, I ask you to think long and hard about the consequences of your actions.
To me, this all seems like threats, right? It seems a bit desperate, and he's just making threats here. And I know he's referring to Maxime Bernier, which is a leader of the People's Party in Canada, which I think is the third party, a guy that's been at the protests. I've been following and learning more about him lately also. But since I think you have in Canada, you have the Liberals, right, and the Conservatives, basically the two big parties, and both those parties have been pretty much all in on all these jab mandates and restrictions and lockdowns. So I think the third party is the only real party that's been against these measures, even though the Conservatives lately, right now with the protests, there are a few Conservatives speaking out against Trudeau and kind of supporting the protesters, but he's just making threats here. He seems like he's I mean, he does fit into the role of the tyrant here. It feels like it could be Gaddafi or something, speaking in the same manner. So,
to the nearly 90% of truckers across the country who've gotten vaccinated, who continue working hard to keep us fed and keep our economy moving, thank you.
yeah, but you can't just thank them, guy. Anyways, I'm gonna show you an interesting thing I saw, because I was digging into more of Trudeau's other speeches in past, and this is a video from early this year, actually, when he's talking about the non-withstanding clause, which is a part of the Canadian Charter of Rights, and hey, this guy he kind of butts in sometimes when you're talking. Anyways, so I'm gonna play this video first of all, and because I'm gonna show you what he says here.
What the notwithstanding clause does is says, regardless of the fact that we are attacking your fundamental rights or limiting your fundamental rights, and the Charter says that's wrong, we're still going to go ahead and do with it. It's basically a loophole that allows a majority to override fundamental rights of a minority. And that's why
He goes on to speak about this, that isn't this wild, right? Because he is speaking out against a clause in the Charter of Rights that I've not read up on all the details of it, but it's kind of like a clause that lets you override individual rights that are specified in the Charter, if I understand it correctly, for various reasons. And here is Justin Trudeau in 2022 in January saying these things. And I mean, it just, and what he actually says in this speech here is that he thinks that this clause is not a great thing to have in the Charter because of that fact that it can override individual rights, right? But at the same time, he's overriding individual rights in his own country. So it just shows you how we can say one thing and do one other over and over again. I'm going to show you the video I was first of all going to show you. Or not first of all, but one of the most, let's see here. I'm going to pull this up here. Because this is going to interest, right? Listen to what he says here. I'm going to play this whole thing through and then we're going to talk about it.
this country is a country of openness, of respect, of compassion, of the rule of law, of the rights of the individuals, of freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from crime, freedom to love who you want and not be judged for it, freedom to do what you want with your body, with your body, with your body. This country is a...
So what do you say about that, right? So this is Justin Trudeau. I don't know exactly which year this was. Obviously he's younger, obviously it's some years ago. But isn't it just sad to see how fake these people are? Freedom to do what you want with your body. At the same time, he's doing all he can to force people to do things with their body that they don't want to do. I didn't know exactly what to say when I saw this, But I think people should just play these videos over and over again. I'm going to play it again.
A country of openness, of respect, of compassion.
Okay, so he's not open. He's not respecting people. He has no compassion for these people. He's calling them fringe, and he's saying they have unacceptable thoughts, unacceptable opinions, unacceptable views. That's not compassion. That's not freedom. He's not for their freedom of speech. He's not compassionate. Let's see what's more.
Of the rule of law, of the rights of the individuals, of
the rights of the individual. He's eliminated rights of the individual in his own country right now.
freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from crime.
You don't have freedom from fear. You gotta fear. The whole narrative is fear right now. You gotta be afraid. It's what's happening right now. What's he supporting right now?
Freedom to love who you want and not be judged for it.
I guess you can do that, right?
Freedom to do what you want with your body.
You cannot do that in Canada in 2022. He himself has enacted all kinds of measures that people have to follow. They have to put things in their body that they don't want to put in their body, right? It doesn't matter if you like these medicines or not, right? It doesn't matter if you or me or anyone else like these vaccines or these other drugs, whatever, for themselves. What he's talking about here is correct. You got to be free what to do with your own body. But, you know, some years later, he's trying to force everyone what to do with their body. It's pretty insane to look back and see videos like this when you know what he has become right now. So, anyways, I'm hoping they're going to have good results with their convoy. I'm really hoping for it. And I've seen some good developments. I've seen some, I think it was Quebec today, pull back their suggestions for some weird tax they were going to introduce for unvaccinated people. I think it's insane to put a tax for people that, like Justin Trudeau said, you have to have freedom to do what you want with your own body. And then he supports taxes that's, you know, enacted to force people to do things with their body that they don't want to do with their body. It's insane. It's insane. Go Convoy.